Every club.
Every day.
The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome back to the Daily Southampton, part of the Global Sports Podcast Network. My name is Greg Elliott. Once again, as always, joined by my good friend and wonderful co-host, Zach Ingo Finch. How you doing, mate? You all right?
Oh, mate, yeah, still getting, as you could probably hear, over this cold, and it's just annoying. It's so nasally, and I'm like, it's doing my head in. But the good thing is that we're watching Saints this weekend, right? So surely that can do nothing but brighten our weekend.
It is Easter weekend. It is a
It is.
long weekend, 4 whole days
Glory.
for Saints to ruin. We have had a press conference. We know some team news. We know that Flynn Downs is back, and that can only be a good thing. We know that Tulpool might not be, and that might actually be upsetting, right? If you think we'd say that
Our
at the
top goal
start of the
scorer.
season. Yeah.
Is what it is.
Unfortunately, though, Zach, my biggest takeaway from the press conference, it happened about halfway through, and I found it very hard to focus. You know exactly how my brain works, that once that thought's in my brain, it's gone.
Yeah.
Simon Rusk went into detail a bit about his philosophy on football and how he's going to treat these next 7 games. And the problem with that was that he said he's going to do the next right thing all the time. And now I think his entire football philosophy is based off of Frozen 2.
Oh, tell me you're a dad without telling me you're a dad, mate. Good Lord.
He's just Princess Anna. That's it. We're just going to save the snowman and play the football. Do the next right thing.
Oh, so great. No, you're right. That's where we're at.
So I really struggled to focus on the rest of the press conference after that.
Yeah, I know how you are at that point.
There were some interesting bits. There is some interesting bits that are going to come out after recording in the 10 p.m. part as well. And I know that because the video stream is bad at cutting in time for the 10 p.m. Sort of vetoed, NDA'd part of the thing. And so I heard George Rees-Julian ask, what about Grombeck? And then the feed cut off. So I look forward to the answer to that question at 10 p.m. from the Echo tonight. But
I see. So you're not a social media man. I don't even know. Well, you are. Just depends on what type, and it's certainly not watching what players do with their lives. At the moment, it's playing Ballatra and Blueprints like the rest of the world, at least my world, which is infuriating. Because if I have to see another page of notes that my friends have put together of this ridiculous puzzle game, it's going to drive me insane. But as somebody that does,
a nice distraction, mate, to be honest, to be scribbling notes on this dumb puzzle game.
It's a glorious, very much a you thing, mate. But I keep an eye, right? The Daily GSPN Southampton Instagram page follows all the players because it's just good to keep an eye. He posts a lot, and not a lot of those photos are A, in the country, B, on the training ground, or C, anything to do with Southampton. So I have a big feeling that he's either basically just been given a leave of absence or what. The fact that no one's talking about it as well is very. I don't know. I kind of forget, right? He had a game and a half, and then we don't really consider him an option because, again, apparently, it still feels really weird to me. And I know this is a bit of a tangent. It isn't anything to do with the West Ham game, but it's still really weird to me that how that whole transfer happened. Why they brought in a player to play in the place of Matty Fernandez when they're never going to play a player other than Matty Fernandez? Then they played him as a striker that one time that didn't really do anything. We just haven't seen him since. It was like we replaced the Cornet loan with a different loan that's the same thing. And I feel bad for the guy. I don't think he played bad.
I think that it's a beautifully encapsulated vision of our recruitment decisions this season.
It's just a metaphor for the whole thing, isn't it?
It doesn't make any sense. It didn't really benefit anyone. And no one really knows why, how, or what has happened.
No, tell a lie. In the future years, Greg, what's going to happen is on either a pub quiz or one of these Saints Twitter pages going to go, did you know blah, blah, blah paid for Southampton? And I'm going to remind you that Gromback played. You'll be like, I completely forgot about him. Whenever we talk about Stephen Corker or Elia, I've always pronounced that wrong. The guy that, like, I remember because he scored 2 goals against Newcastle and won us the game, like, 11 years ago. And that's all I remember. And that's fine. That's all I need to realistically remember about it. But it is one of those things where, like, that is unfortunately what is likely to happen. He's going to be a footnote in Southampton Football Club history. At least he played, unlike the guy who I was talking about the other day who came in with Pochettino, who never played a game for us. Which I think was fascinating. And, like, I think Safir Tadir, another one that, like, turned up and then got in a scrap with someone immediately and they went, absolutely not.
Yeah, sounds about right. I'm conscious that we're 6 minutes into our match preview and I don't think we've mentioned West Ham yet.
Mate, at this point, you already said yesterday, it's a pre-season
friendly, yeah.
Pre-season friendly with West Ham.
See it playing out. Do you think that he means it and he's just going to try and win every game? Or do we need to take this as an opportunity to play some youth? Does Robinson get more minutes now?
Well, he's already said he doesn't want to, like, put too much pressure on the young guys, right? He doesn't want to say who's starting, say who potentially is going to get a game, because that's a lot of unnecessary pressure, and then everyone starts dissecting. We're part of that problem, to be clear. Like, at least be self-aware about it. Like, you know, I like to think that I have absolutely no bearing on what people who listen to us think realistically, but sometimes you also need to acknowledge that if we say a horrible thing about a player and they listen to that, they might be bummed out about it. So I totally get it. But I don't think that they will accept us just sort of half-arsing the rest of the season or treating it like a pre-season friendly until that points record is beaten. So I think that he is probably true in what he's saying. He wants to win until we are no longer the worst Premier League team of all time. If anything, just to give the players and the fans the slightest boost. Me and you talk about Saints on a daily basis, mate. Like, when it comes to that thing, we're already kind of jaded to the point we don't care about it. If you tune in every so often, if you're a Saints fan that kind of, I don't mean this in like a once a week you pay attention when the game's on. Like, that's a totally fine way, probably a normal way to consume media, right? You still look at that.
Computer, mate. I don't know what you mean.
Not for me and you, yeah, to be clear, but for the average Joe out there, like, you know, football's sometimes a weekend thing. Maybe watch some of the games in midweek. But there is still that record, and that is what they're here, because you're going to be watching punditry, and you're going to be hearing them talk about that before every single game, and talk about it every single other game. And that's basically all that's being really talked about now, other than Roy Keane mugging us off for our early relegation and saying we should have just done better, which I'm like, oh, great. If it was that easy, we should have just stayed up, Greg. Greg, did you know we just needed to be better?
All we had to do was just get the points, you know?
Get the points, be better, put more of an effort in. Apparently it's that easy to stay in the Premier League. Nothing to do with the £150 million that Man City can spend in January willy-nilly, but that's just me being bitter, let's face it. So yeah, I think that, to answer your actual question, I think that he is definitely trying to win until we get past that record, which theoretically
is a chance to do that realistically. I'm kind of in two minds about this, right? Because on one hand, West Ham 17th, basically in that 17th limbo. Maybe they finish as high as 16th with a bit of a run. Probably just finish 17th.
Yep.
Arguably one of the weakest opposition we've got left in our fixture list. Apart,
I'd say the only weak opposition we've realistically got
left.
But
also, they gave Liverpool a good game last week.
We gave Liverpool a good game at one point.
Yeah, but they gave Liverpool a good game and lost 1-0.
Yeah, but we do that thing. We collapse over 15 minutes. You said that that's still a good performance, Greg, because we performed for 75. So
yeah,
I'd say Wolves, West Ham, two teams that no one really expects them to be where they are this season, right? That's where I'm at. And, they winning championships. They switched manager. The switch didn't really go well. Moyes is actually now doing better at Everton than what West Ham are doing in general, which kind of sucks. They still haven't really found their feet. And unlike whenever you transition midway through a season, it either works out really well or it doesn't. At the moment with Potter, it doesn't seem to be going quite the way they want it to go. So, yeah, I think that if they're disheartened and down, they have more to lose in this situation than we do. We're already down at this point. Everything realistically for us now is what you used to say at the beginning of the season, which is, it's a free hit, isn't it? Where realistically, looking back at any of those games, any of them were a draw. It wasn't a free hit. We should have fought for every single point. But swings and roundabouts. So I think it's far more important for them, and I think that they are aware of that. And I think that gives us a little bit more freedom. The flip side of it is that, like, I've said this a lot, you've said this a lot this season, we could also just go out and get battered 3-0 because Kuda scores a hat-trick or something, because that would also be a very Saints thing to do. We give somebody an important win, or like Spurs the other week when they beat us, defeated us very well, right? And then they were like, maybe this will get them going again, and then they get beaten 4-2 next game at Wolves. So we're just that team at the moment. That's where I'm at.
Breaks the streak. All right, I'm going to come back, and I've got one more talking point before we hit predicted lineups. But first, a message from our partners at Bionique.
Your body is unique, and Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bionique, the world's most personalised supplements. Bionique provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimize your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bionique. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now. Your body.
Okay, and we are back. Okay, I've got one more thing I want to talk about before we get into predicted lineups.
Sure.
You know how we're suffering a lot? It's really Saints in general, but specifically this season, we're breaking records, breaking streaks of all of the negative varieties, right? And I can't help but notice that a particular Mr. Ward-Prowse has been becoming quite an essential part of West Ham's team under their new manager. Does he score a free kick against us and break that record, Zach? Is that that's written?
Yeah, make it 2. Why not?
If it's how it feels like that's going to play out, right? He's just going to break that record against us in the most heartbreaking of ways.
As I've said before, that would make total sense. And the thing that we'll do is we'll ruin everyone's last day out of Goodison Park at Everton by winning. That's genuinely how. That is probably, like, realistically, this is probably our best chance. But also, we've already talked about the gulf between teams and the quality that can be brought on and off the benches of the various teams, and that will once again prove probably to be crucial tomorrow. And that would be 100% written in the stars that he scores a free kick or 2 against us, just because it's just you know it. That is a feeling. That is a feeling that you get, Greg, that probably turns out to be quite accurate. Because again, hasn't scored a free kick since he left. And score a free kick against us.
Football is so frequently a follower of the poetry and the script writing, and that's one that feels so obviously written in the stars that it almost feels like an inevitability. It's really upsetting. It's also his first game against us since he moved, right? Because
was he on the bench for one of them? He was on the bench for Forest or something.
No, we hadn't played because our West Ham game was Boxing Day, so he was still on loan at Forest then, but he didn't go out on loan to Forest until right at the end. I think it was literally deadline day, and we had already played Forest at that point because Forest was our second game. So, so this is our first game back against him. So it's that'd be fun. Look forward to that coming back. Up now.
It's kind of funny, isn't it? Like, goes to West Ham for the whole season at the Championship. Does all right there. Then goes on loan to Forest. Gets sent back from Forest after Forest start doing well. And I know that apparently he was a lovely chap around the dressing room. And now he's at West Ham, who are literally just above the relegation zone. just above the relegation zone. It's. I guess it's be careful what you wish for, to try and break into the England squad. That now almost seems impossible because there just seems to be so many players ahead. But yeah, you're right. It would be poetry. It was the way that the cookie crumbles. I could definitely see him getting a goal against us, not celebrating us, and then us clapping about it. I would be surprised if you see our fans celebrate his goal against us.
I mean,
that's where I'm at. At this point, we'll clap anything. Just anything to bring us a bit of joy or spark back to you. And I know that we might upset some people by making that joke. To be clear, I wouldn't be one of those people clapping, but I could see it happening because there's not a lot of joy left. And as I've said about before, right, we have this weird I say weird obsession. I don't know if it's specifically just Saints related. This whole thing with just us being absolutely obsessed with our ex-players and ex-managers and basically just anyone who has put on the shirt at some point, us going, maybe we should bring that person back. Do you remember how long we were linked with Kevin Danso for? Like, he played for us like 4 or 5 times and then like never played again. And yet for some reason, for 2 seasons, we were bringing him back. It's wild.
Yeah.
Obviously, James Ward-Prowse's, connection to the club significantly deeper than that.
Yes.
Yeah, it's still a bit of a weird one, and I still think people will be like, we should take him back, and it's like, does he make our team better? Maybe, who knows?
Probably,
He's
but
a Premier League player at this point. I think at the beginning of the season when we talked about it, we all kind of agreed not. I reckon now I'd take him back in a heartbeat with the state of the team.
Yeah. Does he
Interesting.
get more or less goals than Paul Ohanachu?
Well, if he could start scoring free kicks again, he would probably be our top goal scorer. Like, you genuinely remember the last time we went down, part of that is the fact that he scored a load of free kicks that season.
Yeah.
That's why he's on the cusp for the record.
Yeah, no, you're right. Okay, well, let's try and stick back to our script and our format and go for some predicted lineups, Zach. How do you see us lining up tomorrow?
It's going to be 5 at the back again, isn't it? Why would it not be?
Ramsdale in goal?
Yeah.
Save 2 penalties, got to be done in it.
Now's the time to introduce Alex McCarthy. Let's not get all of the wages we can out of Ramsdale at this point.
Give Lummers a chance, why not?
No, thank you. Nicest possible way to Lummers, no, thank you. And then you're going to have, Stevens, Harwood, Bellis, Benrick, if they're all fit and ready to play.
Yeah.
And then
Walker-Peters.
Walker Peters and
probably Manning.
Manning again, probably.
Seems to work.
Downs is back in now, so maybe Downs and Ugachukwu again.
You'd have thought so.
Yeah, it makes more sense to me. And then obviously Matty Fernandez.
Yep.
Paul if he's fit. Maybe Sulemana. Maybe Dibbling. That's it. That's the squad. any difference to that, or kind of the same page?
Say Paul's not fit, what are we doing? We sticking Cameron Archer in, give it a go? Thing is, I don't think you can play Cameron Archer and like Sulemana and Dibbling because that's 3 players who do similar things. You need someone who's going to bring the ball down. Start him knowing that he's not going to make the game. Do you think he's fit enough for 60 minutes, maybe?
Start him, take off him for Paul later if Paul's been up and about but not ready for 90.
Yeah, or even...
That's what I could see. Like swap later.
Bring on Joe Aribo at centre-back and stick Jack Stevens up top.
Is there anyone from the youth that might be... Are we going to get another Jay Robinson appearance?
Yeah, I feel like he'll come off the bench, probably for more minutes than he got against whoever beat us last week, Villa.
To be fair, it's so hard to remember because it's everyone.
Yeah.
They all blend into one after a while.
He'll probably get like 10, 15 minutes, I'd have thought. Probably regardless of how the game's going because, yeah.
I don't know. I think if they want to hold on to
it's not entirely relevant to our season, right? Like,
as I said, I think the points record still is. I think you can't help but I feel like that has got to be. You remember, like, there's those videos of like Man City having all of like their trophies up and like this is how many trophies we've won. I feel like at this point there's just a printed out poster in Comic Sans up in St Mary's that's just like get past this points threshold.
But like, I just don't think it matters as much as you think it does because we are already the fastest relegated team in Premier League history. So it's irrelevant now. Like,
it's the only thing left to fight for, or otherwise we just may as well like forfeit season.
I mean, it's pre-season, mate. We're looking forward to it. Yeah,
and I get that, but also half these players they're playing. Why would you bother play if that's truly the case? What is the point in playing Kyle Walker-Peters?
Yeah.
Sugawara might still be here. We don't know. There's rumours of him going. But you wouldn't bother playing Kyle Walker-Peters at right back because we're going to have to live without him unless we're trying to play your best players to try and get something out of the game.
Yeah, or playing players in positions you need replacements in next year because we haven't got anyone else that's good enough, right?
But like, it is one of those because if not, like, how do you look at paying fans who've travelled in the eye and be like, yeah, we're just it's just a joke, mate. We're just messing about. See what sticks. Throw some more stuff at the wall.
I could make that argument about the entire rest of the season.
You can make that argument. But for a long time, there actually was something to play for a while. Maybe the first month or two.
Right, we're going to come back with some score predictions and see how shocking they may or may not be. But first, a message from our partners at Zencastr. Here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform. Zencastr came out the clear winner. With 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs, it's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the show description and learn more about Zencastr. Okay, we are back. Zach, as always, I'm going to throw you under the bus first. How you seeing it playing out?
Oh, well, I predicted a win last time. That was stupid. That was me just again consistently underestimating Villa. Villa that performed a ridiculously good fight back against PSG in the week wasn't to be, but like so yeah. As I said, we actually have something. You know, we have not as much pressure for them, but with not having as much pressure means that we have the opportunity to let our heads drop. And as the game goes on, it probably will. So I wouldn't be surprised if James Ward-Prowse scores maybe 2 free kicks against us that are given away stupidly after a long, hard, drawn-out first sort of 60 minutes. Maybe we get something back. I'd love to see Ross Stewart put away a goal, or Jay. That'd be really nice, like a nice debut goal. But I don't think that. I think we're going to be probably beaten still. So maybe let's go with a 2-1. That is a narrower margin of victory than I'd expect. We pip something back at the end, maybe, although we're historically bad at that too, so it's just a bit of a roll of the dice. But that's what I'm feeling at the moment. I don't want to go in there too excited like I did against Villa and then immediately regret my decision after 5 minutes of that
game. Right, well, okay.
You,
look, we know the deal. We know what's going to happen. James Ward-Prowse is definitely scoring a free kick against us. It's written in the stars. There's no disputing it. So we're going to win 3-1.
Every time. How are we scoring 3?
One of them's going to be an own goal. It's got to be done. It's got to be
right.
said.
Okay.
There's going to be a West Ham own goal.
Sense, right.
And Tall Paul is going to come on if he plays. He's going to come on off the bench and he's going to bundle one into the net.
Yeah, that's
He's
2.
going to probably absolutely clatter their goalkeeper in the process.
Nice.
And Matty Fernandez is going to pop up with a goal.
Mate, you should write bedtime stories, honestly. The fiction each week gets better and better. Live in your world. I wish it was me.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, with predictions like this, you can see why I'm not really a betting man anymore.
Oh, mate. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. Oh.
Look, picking football's an easy game when you're not emotionally invested, but I'm just feeling it. 3-1. It's going to happen. And then the rest of the season well and truly is pre-season, right? Because
I will agree to you at that point. If we win this game or we beat the record one way or another, everything for the rest of the season will be pre-season. I look forward to seeing a starting 11 that neither me or you will be able to guess entirely, because the entire starting 11 will be players that haven't played this season. That would be exciting. But I guess we'll see. But yeah, what a lovely, the sun will be shining. What a beautiful day.
Yeah, look, it's Easter weekend. We can gorge ourselves with chocolate in misery. If it doesn't go that way, we can celebrate with a lovely roast dinner with your meat of choice. If it does, it's all good vibes. 4-day weekend. What more can we ask for? Listen, thank you very much for listening to us today on Good Friday. We will be back on Monday with a review of that stunning victory at West Ham. Until then, let us know your score predictions in the comments and on the socials. We're on YouTube, TikTok, X, Instagram, Blue Sky. I probably missed one. Facebook, YouTube. There we go. All of the social medias that I am, strongly competent in using. Definitely always me on there. Until Monday, enjoy your long weekend, and we will see you then.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.